Right, welcome back to the channel. Following on from the last episode, we're still on the Varadero. Just to recap on, if some people are unfamiliar or they've just joined, it's a 2001 XL1000 Varadero Honda. Currently just under 93,000 miles on the clock. Yeah, still confusing from the last episode. I've racked my brains on this one for a few days and I just can't come up with anything. As I said in the last episode, this episode I'm going to undo the front fairing, take off the tank, and then have a look at the rear cylinder. I say nothing's changed since you left us last time. I've managed to store a few bits up on the shelves, obviously where I made space. It's now full again. I've just put the tailpiece and the racking system on loosely, just purely so I don't have to find space for it. So as I said, we need to undo this bolt, another one here, this one here, same on the other side, the two main at the back, there's two main bolts at the front. Disconnect the fuel tap, which is this side, and there's one on the opposite side. It runs to a twin, because of the size and depth of the tank, it runs two fuel taps. So that's the plan for today, is to say get that off and then start getting into the rear cylinder, which should be roughly about there. Right, so as I left you, I was just about to take the tank off. It got really late on me, so I decided that I'd clear up for the night and you're joining me again actually the next day. I did some work online later that evening and actually started printing off excuse me, actually started printing off the fiche pictures. I say I'll let you have a look. I printed off a fair amount just for the bits I need, if I need to go into the engine as well, but primarily the rear cylinder, valve cover, rocker covers, actual rear cylinder, but I'll show you these in a second. As I say, we're going to continue on. We're going to take the tank off after we've shown you the fiche pictures. We're going to take the tank off and then start to go in and have a look at the rear cylinder. So let me show you the pictures. So again, exactly what I did with the Z650. I actually printed these off from cmsnl.com. You can literally just go onto your bike, pick the year, and there's full fiche pictures of how everything's broken down, and obviously the numbers relate to, on the website, the part numbers that are below. So these are what I've come up with for now. So that's the rear cylinder, rocker covers front and rear, actual valves, cam chain, and there's two tensioners, one for each cylinder. I'm actually going to have a look at the cam chain tensioners because I have heard before that people have had a knocking, rattling noise, and it has actually been the tensioners. So it would be nice if it was. Again, front cylinder, airbox, the actual air pump system, breakdown of the silencers, again breakdown of the carbs, crank. All quite handy stuff. Gear shift lever and the fork mechanism. I always find these are really helpful, as well as the manual, the actual pictures, so you can actually see where everything is. So I say I only printed out a few. I didn't go for the whole lot, but it at least gives me an idea, and obviously I'm with manual as well, which I advise for anyone. But as I say, continuing on, so we're going to get the tank off, as I said a little bit earlier, 2 bolts front, 2 bolts rear, and then just a couple of fairing bolts. There's one down there, here and here, just to pull this aside, and then you can pull the tank out. And obviously fuel taps, one this side here, one exactly the other side, exactly the same. Also up under here is the actual fuel gauge electrical connections. There's 2 wires that actually plug in, because with Varaderos they actually don't have a fuel gauge. It's actually done by that light just there, so it's all electrical. 2 wires connecting underneath. I think it's a brown wire and a green wire. Brown is front, green is rear, I think. We'll find out when we get in there. But obviously you don't want to connect them the wrong way round, because then you could run out of fuel. So let me get set up, get some tools out, and we'll get this tank off. Right, so the bits I need is a 5mm Allen key for these bolts here, 12mm for the back, 8mm for the front, and obviously pop to put everything in. Right, as you can see, that just about gives me enough room as the bracket is actually on the tank, so pulling that away just gives me enough clearance to actually get the tank out. So I've just got to remove the ones on the other side. Right, so that's 3 removed from the other side, so 6 in there in total. I said fuel taps, there's actually one here and identical the other side. The actual lever for this tap is facing forward, so it's behind, that's already off, and I've already turned the other one off the other side, so it's just release that clip and that pipe, same the other side, and then we can lift the tank and remove some air pipes that are up underneath the tank. Right, so both fuel hoses are released on either side. Alright, so just there is the 2-wire connection to the fuel gauge. So we've got brown and then a green. And there's the wires there. And I'll show you the plug once we get the tank off. Right, this I won't be able to really show you because I can't lift the tank up that high at the moment. But if you feel underneath, if you can see that, there's a hose that connects to the tank. And there's another one just there. So you've got a fatter one and a thinner one. Right, so that's the 2 air hoses. And that's the actual fuel gauge sender. Also, while I'm here, I'm actually going to take out, well, I'll do this a bit later, I'm going to take out these fuel gauges, fuel taps, and give them a bit of a clean up, and look at the actual filters that are inside. Big old tank, but quite hollow. It's a 25-litre tank. Right, rear cylinder. Again, 4-bolt. So I'm going to remove these air pipes. Actually may get the airbox out of the way as well. There's front cylinders just there. Right, so that's the actual air suction pump that I was showing you in the features earlier. And that is the CBS unit for the brakes. There's a combined braking system on these Varaderos, similar to the ST that has a CBS system as well. So what we'll probably do, I'll disconnect that pipe from the top here, move that out of the way. This pipe from the airbox, actually probably pull the airbox as well, so that'll be the next job. Take off these bolts, screws all the way around, have a look at the state of the air filter, and for any of you that's watched the earlier videos, there are 2 sub air filter little pink foam triangles, but we'll have a look at those. So that's the next thing, is get this airbox off. Again, another little pot, probably label the pots up later. Right, that's the last one. There's the air filter. Seen better days. Right, and there's the little sub air filters I was on about some time. I did a video on these some time ago. They actually started off pink. You can see the carbs down there. Yeah, I've actually got some oil residue. Well, it looks like oil. As I say, now we can start disconnecting these pipes. Have a look at getting this airbox off as well. But let's disconnect these first. I say these were the tank ones. I'll push them to one side. I've already taken the spark plug cap off, so it's just this one and this one. Yep, and that one opens up. So again, just tuck that down to one side. Now quickly remove the airbox. A couple of screws there and there, same on the other ones. When it goes back, they've actually got arrow indicators forward and backwards. So you've got one screw here. So 2 screws, and you've got the arrow that points forward, and then it's the same for the rear. that's the rear one, again with the arrow facing backwards. Right, so now we've got 4 screws. Right, so that's all 8 screws. So I just need to disconnect this pipe here and this one here, and the airbox should lift off. So this point here, there is actually a hose underneath, so we need to pull that one out. It's actually going to bring the suction unit out in one piece, which is fine. So let me disconnect the hose on the end of this and then we'll pull that out. So that side's disconnected. So it has the suction pump, seems to be coming with it. Just need to disconnect and see it. This hose on the back here where my finger is, I just need to disconnect that. That's the airbox out with the actual suction unit as well. It's just a mass of pipes. Right, so now we're all clear. Let's get this rocker cover off. Alright, so there's 4 bolts, all 10mm. All the bolts are loose, so I'm going to leave them in situ so I know exactly where they came from. Again, not really seeing a great deal. The chain actually doesn't feel slack. Right, so there's the tensioner unit. If you can see it just down in there, it's like a grey right at the end of that screwdriver, just there. That's the tensioner unit. Can't quite reach it, but Very odd. Right, well this is getting quite baffling because I'm not actually visibly seeing slackness in the chain, slackness in the tensioner. So if you've got any thoughts or feedback, leave them in the comments box below. You know I always appreciate all your support and help, and the comments you leave. They're always fantastic. They're inspiring to actually help. You know, and I try to return that as well. But this is getting very confusing. Of that noise was definitely from the rear end. Really unsure on this, but as I say, I don't know what I was expecting to find by taking off the rear rocker head cover. I don't know, maybe a slack chain, or I think what we'll do in the next episode is we'll actually set it to top dead centre, have a go at getting out the chain adjuster on the rear. That's going to be really interesting because it's quite difficult to get to. But set it to top dead centre on the rear cylinder and then maybe start taking it apart. But let me know your comments in the comments box below. As I say, I appreciate all your feedback. I'm going to do some research as well because it is just really confusing now, because I did have a theory that it could be the cam chain tensioner unit, but then looking at that purely, wouldn't the cam chain actually be slack? So it's almost like jumping, but it seems to be quite tight all the way around. So, but say we'll look at more into it in the next episode. But pleased we got in that far. So it's nice to actually get the carbs exposed. I would like to have a look at those, but I need to get this engine noise sorted first before we do anything else. But yeah, quite a lot to think about on that one. But as I say, we'll carry on in the next episode. So links to other videos, top left and top right. It's normally a best for viewer and a playlist. The playlist can be random. They'll run through the booster, the ST, some on the Varadero, Minimoto, etc, etc. As I say, go check out the other playlists. There's lots in there. And I'll scratch my head for a few hours and try and work out what is going on with this engine and why the noise and where it's coming from. But as I say, thanks for joining me, and join me again next time. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.